the air. Now, Paul Dennett is an Australian cricket writer. We always get him on for his cricketing expertise, but of course, the clue there is the word Australian that we had, and he knows a thing or two about what's going on over there at the moment. Paul, first and foremost, I would just like to say, you know, obviously sat here from my cosy studio in London, very sorry to see all the stuff that's been going on over there, and wish you and your family all the best. But just give me a favour as to exactly what it's like in Australia at the moment, and certainly around where the Australian Open's taking place.
Oh, yeah, hi, guys. Yeah, I appreciate that. Look, yeah, it's been an unprecedented 4 or 5 weeks, I would say. I'm lucky I live in suburban Sydney. My own property and life is not under threat. But seeing the devastation and, you know, in New South Wales alone, more than 1 billion animals being killed, people dying, people losing their homes. The other thing that we've become used to here in Sydney and Melbourne is we've got a tangible effect of the fires, and that for about 5 weeks now, every day in Sydney has had, to a greater or lesser extent, smoke. Every afternoon, you can look at the sun directly if you want to, because it's a sickly orange colour hidden by the smoke. And yeah, this has never happened in my lifetime before. I don't think it's ever happened in anyone's lifetime before. So, and Melbourne has had that in the last couple of days, where the Australian Open have had to be fair, they have had a very difficult couple of decisions to make in terms of whether to suspend play or not due to the smoke. And I think that with the criticism they've received, I think that they didn't entirely get it right.
I mean, it's 2 years ago, actually, that at the Australian Open, there was record-breaking temperatures during play. And then, of course, now, you know, we've got the fires. We've had Maria Sharapova. She was reacted quite badly to the smoke. Her match was then abandoned. A spectator was even seen wearing a face mask. You had Eugenie Bouchard. She had to have medical help. We had Karolina Pliskova as well. She was struggling. And, of course, Dalila Jakupovic, which I think I've just managed to butcher her surname there, but there we are, all struggling with the effects of it. I mean, why is this going ahead, mate, really? I mean, shouldn't this all just be stopped and common sense prevail?
No, I agree with you, and I think that that's the prevailing opinion here, that after day one, the morning newspapers in Melbourne, all three of them absolutely slammed the decision to play, because we have this kind of double standards where all the civic authorities are setting up these messages of stay indoors. All other sports were being cancelled, and we've got used to this air index that we've been looking for, air quality index, over the last few weeks, and it's been in the kind of unhealthy and very unhealthy range. So why are we expecting these young athletes to go out there and play a very, very physical sport in it, especially given that the qualifiers, they're they're not the rich superstars. These are guys just trying to struggle to make ends meet. And I feel really sorry for Jakupovic, that she was actually winning the game when she was overcome with this coughing spasm, and that was it. She's out of the qualifying tournament, which would have been potentially one of the bigger paydays in her career. So, yeah, I think they got it wrong, and they should have suspended play for more than they did.
Yeah, and like you said, you mentioned there is this air quality index. It has now jumped into the very unhealthy category. Rain is predicted over there. However, it can be quite unpredictable as to what exactly that means, especially when you've got a wildfire of this kind of scale. Rain does not necessarily mean it goes out. It can change direction and things like that. I mean, it does strike me as odd that that this has been able to continue. But does this point at something that maybe the Australian government or authorities or powers that be don't quite get it? I mean, I know there was a lot of stick for like the fireworks display on New Year's Eve. I know Scott Morrison has absolutely copped it when he's been going out and about to various kind of rural affected areas. I mean, is there any indication maybe that this isn't being taken too seriously by the Australian authorities?
Well, I think that you're right. They've received an enormous amount of criticism. The other thing that's really sort of fueling this is that in the middle of the year, a group of, I think, 22 ex-fire chiefs from around the country sent a very seriously worded letter to the government saying, we are very concerned with what's going to happen in this coming summer. And there's a feeling that the government didn't pay enough attention to that and didn't really mobilise to really deal with that. And so the government is in a difficult position as well, without trying to get too political, that they sort of won the most recent election sort of beholden to their right wing, which is still kind of in denial about climate change. And so if they suddenly say, well, yeah, this is really, really serious and we've got to do absolutely everything about it, then they're kind of politically going to wedge themselves into a bit of a contradiction. But I would say that the general feeling about the government's handling of it is that it's been very poor. And Scott Morrison took a holiday as well right at the start of the bushfires. And I mean, the bloke works hard, I'm sure of that. So I can't begrudge him a holiday, but he took it, he went to Hawaii at the worst time to do so. So he's really taken a hit through that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think when he came back as well, I think someone got hold of him at an airport and he was like, "Oh, I don't hold a hose, mate." This, that, and the other. Just seems like maybe there was not enough initial recognition, perhaps, to see what was going on over there. But look, just from a personal perspective on the ground, there, mate, it is very smoky. I imagine where you are. Just what's it actually practically like? Is it can you go out of your house without, or do you just smell it constantly? What's it like there?
Well, it varies. There are days when you wake up in the morning and think, "What's that smell?" And suddenly, even inside the house, you can smell the smoke. I was at the cricket one day where a Sheffield Shield game where the smoke just oozed in over the Sydney cricket ground, and really they probably should have cancelled play as well on that day. It was amazing in a very bad way, having a look at just how smoky it was. So it's not debilitating in the sense that you can still live your normal life, but the thing that's concerning is that all the medical advice is this is not that dissimilar to tobacco. I mean, tobacco is a plant. These are plants that are just getting burnt, and we are inhaling the results of that. So there's various things of saying, it's like smoking X number of cigarettes, it's like doing this. So I think that longer term, particularly if this is going to be something that is a regular feature of Australian summers, then that sort of thing will mount over time. And you look at, the next generation and the one after that, and you really start to get quite concerned, actually.
Okay, all right. Well, look, thank you very, very much, Paul. Always absolute pleasure to have you on, and wish you all the best, of course. And I hope that you do remain safe out there. Thank you very much for joining us today. Paul Dennett, Australian cricket writer, who we normally have on, of course, to discuss how, well, unfortunately, recently, discuss how good the Aussies are. But in this case, of course, just giving us an impression, really, of what life is like on the ground there in Australia. I mean, it must be pretty shocking, Rich, to be involved with that. The key thing there, I know this sounds bad because we're a sports station and talking about all the sports stars that are being affected by this. More than 1 billion animals have died out there.
Well, yeah, that's horrendous.